Welcome to the show. This is Subscriber Builds 9. If you haven't seen the others, there will be a link at the end of this video to that playlist, so you can check them out. And also, if you are interested in contributing to FargoFX Subscriber Builds, the email is right up here. And you can just send me a few pictures of some of your work and include a little description, maybe a description of the work, a little bit about yourself. And also remember that builds could be really a variety of things. Most of what we've done has been blacksmithing related, metal work, maybe a little bit with woodwork, but I would definitely take a look at other DIY type projects as well. So with that, we'll jump right into it. First up today, we have Ashton. He's a 12-year-old knife maker from Iowa. And the picture he sent us is a knife that he made out of a $6 Walmart survival knife. Now, all the shaping and sculpting of the handle was done with a Dremel tool. He said his grandfather was a butcher and regularly sharpened knives. And so that helped Ashton. It kind of gave him a little bit of background in knife sharpening, so he was able to do the sharpening himself. He also says that the sheath for it is made from PVC and it's wrapped with electrical tape. Now, anybody who's been watching my channel for very long knows that I kind of have a fascination with like post-apocalypse or apocalyptic themed builds, be they knives or hatchets or whatever. And although he didn't mention that specifically, I think that Ashton's knife here kind of reminds me of that, where somebody has taken common materials and he's crafted them into a very functional and very useful knife and sheath combination. So Ashton, I really want to compliment you. You've done a great job here. You've used materials that are inexpensive and really used them in a creative way to create a knife that looks like it would be very comfortable in the hand and also a very useful knife. And you've managed to do that without spending a lot of money on premium materials. And I love the fact that you've crafted this all yourself, right down to creating a sheath for it and sharpening up the knife yourself. So great work on this. Thank you for sharing this with us. Keep up the great work. And as you make more stuff, feel free to send in more images. I would love to showcase more of your work. So next we'll go to Gaetan. He's from France and he's submitted work before. Now, just as we saw last time, he is a very creative and very capable craftsman. I think in many ways his work speaks for itself. There's a lot of very unique design work, unique finishes, a lot of different types of knives, and clearly different kinds of skill went into making the different knives. And he has also incorporated that sort of upcycling idea into his work, using a lot of different types of materials. He mentioned that some of the blades are done with XC75 steel, but also the two throwing knives he made from a chainsaw bar, and the chef's knife was made from a saw blade. And another interesting thing that I'll call attention to, he mentioned that his uncle loaned him a Dremel tool, and that's how he engraved his maker's mark into these blades. He also has a YouTube channel. He said that he recently reached 100 subscribers, and I really think it's important to celebrate those milestones. So I'll post a link to his channel in the description below. Definitely go and check that out. He's got some great work over there. Thanks again for sharing these pictures with us, and keep up the great work, both the knife making and uploading to YouTube. Now this week I was planning to showcase some work by a young blacksmith named Jordan, but I ran into some trouble viewing the pictures that he had sent me, and I don't know if that's a problem with my email. So anyway, we're kind of working that out, and hopefully I can showcase his work in the next episode. So with that, we'll move on to our last one for this week. These pictures come to us from Mason. He's a 14-year-old blacksmith and bladesmith. He has some very cool and unique designs here. Calling attention to this knife with the sheath, he said this is actually his first ever knife made from a file, and the scales are made from pine. He used a gray wood stain on the scales and then boiled linseed oil to finish it off. The sheath is leather. He put eyelets into the sides and then tied it together with 550 paracord. And kind of a cool story about this knife, his dad is a fisherman, and he actually made this for him as a fishing knife because of the help his dad gave him with getting started in blacksmithing. And then his second knife here was the rebar knife, and it was the first one that he had hand forged. And in the email, he said he made it with only hand tools to bevel the edge and to round the edges to make it a more comfortable knife. And he said that his inspiration came from Backyard Boyer and from Green Beetle. And when I got into bladesmithing about 1.5 years ago, those were two of the guys that I had found to be some of the most inspirational on YouTube as well. So Mason, you are doing a great job here. Love this work, and as always, thanks for sharing your work with us so we can see the work you're doing and really be inspired by it too. Now, as I kind of mentioned before, there are a couple of others who have submitted work and it hasn't been featured yet. I am planning to feature those in the next edition of Subscriber Builds. I'd probably look for that maybe toward the beginning of August. And as I mentioned in the past, once in a while an email comes in and gets sent to a spam folder or whatever, and I do my best to check those things and make sure that I'm catching everybody's work. But if it's been 3 or 4 months since you sent something and you haven't seen it yet, definitely resubmit that work. Make sure that I get to see it and get the opportunity to share your work in a Subscriber Builds video. So thanks again to everybody who submitted their work. Thanks to you who've been watching. I really appreciate your support. Feel free to comment and join the conversation below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And with that, we will sign off for today. And I'll just say, hey, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, have a wonderful time. And we'll see you in the next video.